Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, November 27th, 2020. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The modern city at Annisville is making headway, so said Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves yesterday at the opening of the ACE2 outlet at the decommissioned E.T. Joshua Airport. The Prime Minister said that while the design is not yet completed, it was initiated and like everything, it will take time. He outlined the concept of the modern city, which will include the Annisville playing field.
Annisville playing fields, they would be incorporated as part of the new city, part of this modern city. We're going to have what every modern city would have. We'll have boutique hotels, we will have apartments, we will have shopping centers, all kinds of modern facilities, places for professionals and the like.
The Prime Minister said that drainage is usually an issue and the problem is compounded by the river close by. He said that correcting the drainage problem will be a priority and added that the link between Kingston and Annisville is still being considered.
We have done a study, an indicative study which shows that it is cheaper to do a tunnel under Cane Garden Point than to do the road around Cane Garden, an appropriate road. Those numbers have to be interrogated further, because that kind of result is almost counterintuitive. And that's why we want to move the cruise ship pier in the next phase of the development down at the port from where it is, because it's there where the tunnel would have to end up.
The Prime Minister noted that the Annisville area is key, adding that a feasibility study has been completed and funding for the modern hospital will become a reality.
I told the cabinet we're going to hold off doing anything here until something was appropriate and the circumstances were propitious. What were the circumstances? First of all, a big theme which has been accepted for this city is health and wellness. That's a big theme. And we were advised by one of the best firm of architects in the world, a Canadian firm. They say we must begin by having 1 or 2 anchor projects to the city. And that is why we are having the acute referral hospital, 55 million US or thereabouts.
Meanwhile, Corey's Hazels Inc. reopened its second branch, ACE2, at the decommissioned E.T. Joshua Airport. Managing Director of the company, Joel Providence, said that the availability of the location paved the way for an opportune expansion, and there are plans for further expansion in the next few years.
Of this, our second store in less than 12 months, as Brian George would have mentioned. By this time next year, we hope to add yet another, and then within 2 years, a fourth. It is within our strategic vision to bring our service to the people. We do so because we believe in ourselves and we believe in the future of this country. Our confidence in the enabling environment and its state organs, our confidence in our culture that is embraced by our 200+ staff.
Prime Minister Dr. Gonsalves congratulated the company on the move, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. There are many Anglican churches throughout SVG, which reflect the creative ability and technical skills of our forefathers and ought to be preserved and protected. That's the position put forward by lawyer, author, poet, and cultural icon Cecil Blazer Williams as he presented the 200th anniversary lecture of the St. George's Anglican Cathedral last evening on the topic, the Church's contribution to our cultural heritage and the way forward.
This has nothing to do with any denominational particularity, but with national identity. And I'm one of those persons who's very strong about this church being supported in its reconstruction, if not totally by government funds, but substantially by government funds, to make sure that the funds which this church has been raising are adequate to do the reconstruction, the repairs. I am very strong about that one.
In reference to language and family, Williams said one cannot escape the fact that sins of commission and omission have impacted in many ways on the state, the use of language, and how families of different racial and ethnic origins live.
When the church came, it met the Garifuna, Carib, and Kalinago people with their own language and customs. After the genocide and forced expulsion, the language disappeared. Those who remained were subject to cultural impositions, including the education system, which systematically replaced the indigenous language. This attempt at linguistic genocide was in the long run unsuccessful because our brothers and sisters of Belize and the Garifuna Foundation have over the last few years been making efforts to return the language to its home, Euromine. The Africans who arrived and were enslaved did not come without language and names.
The author and cultural icon said, since slavery, there was a denigration of African languages and the development of national language. And unfortunately, for over 200 years, the church and the education system did not recognize that we are bilingual people.
Names are replaced with Christian names, and many slaves carried the titles of their masters or renamed London, Bristol, Scipio, Dumb, Brave Boy, as happened on the church-owned Codrington slave plantation in Barbados. It took another 130 years after emancipation, with the coming of the Black Power era, to have black people giving their children African names again. Although there was some apprehension in the mind of some priests, the Africanization of names at christening has become normal.
Williams also noted that from changes in the social environment to changes in the organizational structure have threatened the very foundation of the church's beliefs and its values. In other news, the Evesham Methodist School hosted activities on Monday to highlight the importance of empowering males in the society. The activities commenced with a march around the school, followed by a conference under the theme, Speak Out, Speak Up, You Are Important. Speaking at the conference, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Michael Burke, shared 2 stories with the children, parents, and others who were present. The thrust of the stories was to show parents how important it is to make their children a priority. Noting that the boys present are the generation of the future, Councillor of the Ministry of National Mobilization, Kesley Cambridge, encouraged the parents and more so the fathers to start to instill values in their sons from a very early age and to bond with them.
Endangered species. We have a lot of men, but when it comes to the role and responsibilities, we tend to fall short. So there's something that I would encourage the men: bond with your sons. Pastor Brett spoke about a lot of things, excellent points. Yes, a child will not remember you for the material things that you give him, but he will remember you for being there in his life. It's the moments. Material things fade away, but the bonding times, these are the things that stick with them, because they're going to grow up and become men. And the thing about children is that they are very observant.
Cambridge also encourages the fathers to be role models to their sons, noting that their conduct should be a reflection of what they expect from their sons.
They want to become. And they have spoken up about these things. As fathers, you need to ensure that you help push the dreams of your sons. Encourage them. Having a simple talk with your son wouldn't take anything off. When school finished and he comes home, how does he comes home, what is it what did you do? X, Y, and Z, find out what's going on. Because if it's a case where you don't speak about your emotions or what is bothering you, how can you expect your boys to tell you what is going on in their lives? There are a lot of things that are affecting our young boys in our Caribbean region. And a lot of different things such as sexual abuse. It might not happen in the home, and of course it can happen in the home. But there are a lot of things that are happening outside of the home environment that can be affecting your sons.
And students of the C.W. Prescott Primary School now have more opportunity to hone their reading skills. Last week, Wednesday, November 18th, the school, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Hands Across the Seas, and the Mustique Charitable Foundation, reopened its refurbished library for use by the students. The activity was done under the theme Enhancing Literacy Through the Library. Students also was trained to become student librarians and receive their certificates at the opening ceremony. Speaking at the ceremony, the school's principal, Suzette King, said it was challenging getting the library to where it is. She said they had difficulty sourcing the books and obtaining seats. However, the school was determined to have a library.
We could not sit back and let our students lose these opportunities and experiences. Our dream of having an upgraded library, school library, became a reality when a colleague of mine mentioned that she was attending a meeting with some book donors. I remembered saying to her, say what for CWP, the rest was history. After the meeting, C.W. Prescott Primary School was honored to receive books from Hands Across the Sea through the efforts of two advocates of literacy, Tom and Harriet Linsky. The efforts of these two individuals are second to none. With their expertise and connections, they were able to supply our school with hundreds of books of all genres.
The school's principal thanked the team for coming to the help of the students so they can have a library, which is very important in enhancing their literacy skills.
Words cannot express our gratitude to these two wonderful individuals for their great efforts in helping to raise the literacy levels of schools in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and across the region. Upon receiving the books, the literacy committee saw the need for the library to be more student-friendly. Consequently, we embarked on making the facility more attractive to students. This was made possible through the fundraising committee and the talented Mr. Parnell Robinson. As the years rolled on, seating accommodation was still an issue. The school, after hearing about the generosity of the Mustique Charitable Trust, wrote to them for assistance for the furnishing of the library. weeks, we got the news that our proposal was honored, and we were so happy.
King appealed to the teachers to commit themselves to teach reading using a variety of strategies.
Literacy and numeracy. The reading ability of our students is of paramount importance. And although the reading levels of some of our students are not where it should be, we can safely say that we are making strides. There have been improvements in some students, while others are making steady progress. We are cognizant of the fact that there is still a lot of work to be done. Make a special appeal to teachers. Commit yourself to teaching reading. Use a variety of strategies. Too many of our teachers are looking at their colleagues with a literacy certificate behind their names to do the job. We are all teachers of reading and must make a conscious effort to do so.
A 26-piece pan set was handed over to the Bokomans Bay Secondary School yesterday by the SVG Police Force Band. This was done in collaboration with the Ministry of National Security and the Yellow Pan Movement. It would enable the students to be part of the Pan Against Crime program. Commissioner of Police Colin John encouraged the students to make full use of the musical instruments as they strive to become better individuals in society.
As the Royal St. Vincent and Grenadines Police Force to ensure that St. Vincent and the Grenadines is safe, the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines are safe, the visitors to St. Vincent and the Grenadines are safe. And this is one of the initiatives that we are using to ensure that we achieve that objective and that goal. This afternoon, you would be receiving 26 pieces of pan instrument and a drum set. I encourage you to make sure that you utilize it for the purpose for which it is given, that you maintain it to the best of your ability. We realize that geographically we are relatively close to the sea, and sea blasts can affect it. So special care and attention must be taken to ensure that they're in top position when we're ready to use them.
Minister of Youth Rando Brewster, also speaking at the ceremony, said that the steel pans could be used for recreation and help the students to become well-rounded individuals.
Tutor, so I just want to go in and just play a little to reduce my stress because I didn't have a good day. And by doing this, you are going home to your parents with a different mindset. So mommy don't have to face the stress that is coming from school sometimes. And that is how you make a difference in your homes, in your communities. So don't just look at them as pieces of metal. They are here for a purpose. And reducing stress, which in turn would reduce the amount of criminal activity in our nation, is just one of the importance of this pan site.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines yesterday recorded one new COVID-19 case, bringing the total number of recorded cases to 85. This most recent case is a returning national who arrived from the USA with a negative RT-PCR test result on Saturday, November 21st, 2020. On entry screening and on day 5, the person tested positive for SARS-CoV-2, the virus which causes COVID-19. The Ministry of Health said the adult was in mandatory quarantine and will be isolated until cleared by 2 negative tests. A total of 77 of the overall 85 cases recorded have recovered. There are now 7 active COVID-19 cases in the country, all arriving from countries categorized as high risk. The Basic Needs Trust Fund, the BNTF implementing agency, breaks ground for the construction of the Lively Farm Road in Diamonds today. The $1.3 million EC road project is funded by the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which makes it the 10th project done in SVG under the BNTF 9 project. It includes the construction of 13 feet of road for 5 months. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony, Minister of Agriculture Saboto Caesar said that 6 years ago, the villagers of Diamond suggested to construct the road because they saw the importance to provide access to their lands.
And the Grenadines, that Lively, and the area which is known as Lively, also bounding back with the Stinking Tree, that this area is one of the most prolific areas in terms of yam production in the entire country. In the period when bananas were the mainstay of the Windward Islands, we saw significant banana production coming out of the Lively Mountains.
Minister Caesar said that many of the older farmers have died and the ministry is now looking at a new generation of farmers.
They've gone on to the great beyond. And the issue of enhancing the road access goes straight to our quest to encourage young people to get involved in agriculture and in production. On the completion of this road, you are going to see from a real estate standpoint a significant increase in the value of the lands, strictly from a real estate standpoint. From a cost of production standpoint, you are going to see a reduction in the cost of production for agricultural products in the Lively Mountains. Because before now, you had to pay persons to bring your produce all the way out of the mountains and have them right down here by fudge. But when you have the road, it is going to change that arrangement, and it is definitely going to reduce the cost of production.